I'm Jake.
And Alex.
And welcome to the first reaction video of 2024.
Yay!
Holy shit. We're really getting up there in the future years.
I never even envisioned what 2024 would look like, other than maybe flying cars and things like that.
Instant food, which
Yeah.
is kind of here, but not the way Back to the Future made out to be.
Yep.
Yeah, just a lot of unpleasantness and people fighting, which is a good lead into what we're going to watch. This is a review by the Cinema Snob way back in 2020, in the middle, like near the middle beginning of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Back in that time, Brad Jones was covering a bunch of stuff that was about like the end of times or like virus movies.
I wonder why.
And after doing Stephen King's The Stand, he eventually moved on to the 1982 miniseries World War III, which was a what-if scenario made during the 80s Cold War that portrayed a possible future where an actual world war would break out. And with everything going on right now between Ukraine and Russia, Israel, Hamas, as when we're filming, and with another U.S. presidential election on the way, I don't know if we're gonna enter another world war, but it's definitely gonna be a shit show this year, I predict.
Yeah, well, let's hope not when the World War III ends, but as a child that grew up in the last decade of the Cold War, that was always a real and imminent threat for us. So we'll be interested to see how that's depicted.
Yeah, and along with The Day After, this was a real chilling mini-series for people to watch at the time.
They knew how to do miniseries, though, in the 80s, that's for sure.
Damn right. And without further ado, let's jump in and see what the 80s possible prediction was.
All right.
Care to stay fully up to date on new and upcoming videos and what's going on over at Patreon? Be sure to follow our
Salem's
Twitter
Lot.
account, Cinema Snob, where we always
Another classic
all
miniseries.
about our new videos and site news. Follow us today at twitter.com/thecinemasnob. Oh boy, that was such a great miniseries. I think I'd like to continue on with some more miniseries. I think David Soul was in some around that time. What's a good David Soul series?
My orders were stuck in. This time, the game couldn't be stopped.
Wait, that looks familiar. Is that...
Whoa!
Oh god, it's finally happening. World War III is here. I'm just gonna get down on the ground with my shit cup.
Popular thing in 2020.
Well, we've teased it long enough, but it's about time we finally get to the 1982 Cold War miniseries World War III, a movie so dark and downbeat and grainy that it can only be reviewed inside of this dark-ass closet with a shitting cup.
Whoa,
TV
careful.
viewers on January 31st had a lot to choose from. Either a new episode of Alice or smoke the most paranoia-inducing joint you've ever inhaled and watch part one of the two-part NBC miniseries World War III, the fictitious what-if scenario that takes place in the future of 1987, where the seeds of World War III are planted by Soviet paratroopers who take over an Alaskan pipeline.
This is James
The
Bond?
real-life concept of World War III isn't so much a real thing as just a scenario that one political side thinks is going to happen if their candidate loses an election. Seriously, after every election day of the past 50 years, here's what the winning side sees. Hey, everybody, we're all going to get laid. And here's what the losing side sees.
Dr. Strangelove.
And I think this is what people in the middle see.
Probably the most accurate.
You won't see a what-if World War III as glorious as this, mainly due to the fact that it's literally called World War III. This one's taken much more seriously, largely because it was before the Cold War would soon be ended by Chuck Norris shooting a bunch of people
That's a fun one.
defeating Ivan Drago. The series was written by Robert L. Joseph, no stranger to political thrillers, who'd previously written Strategy of Terror and the TV movie SST Death Flight. The original director was Boris Segal, who was a veteran of both end-of-world films such as The Omega Man and epic TV miniseries like Rich Man, Poor Man. Sadly, Segal was killed in a helicopter accident during the film's pre-production, and directing duties were then given to David Green,
Very Twilight
also of
Zone.
Rich Man, Poor Man, as well as Roots. For those too paranoid to watch World War III, I'm sure there's a channel out there right now reviewing some episodes of Alice. But for those of you staying, let's watch serious Dr. Strangelove, which I guess would be the book Red Alert. Every 80s Cold War movie opens like that. I think I've referenced this before, and since this is 1982, and it's the third part in the World War trilogy, shouldn't it be in 3D? As you can see, the place is Alaska in the future. This is like if Donald Belisario-produced Northern Exposure. Upside to this, World War III will cure these people's boredom. Downside, it's gonna ruin Christmas. Get your relaxing in while you
Holiday tie-in.
Be patient, old buddy. One more month of here and your tour is over.
Great, I've seen enough cop movies to know you just killed him. But something weird is seen on their radar screen. Some kind of blip or another B word.
It's coming in just ahead of the weather front. Reckon we got ourselves a bird out there.
Oh no, he remembers what happened the last time they let in a dodo bird. The slapstick tore the place apart.
Oh.
Come on, David.
Seems like an overreaction. That better not be a spy.
Cold-blooded.
Wow.
Oh, my mistake. He's a goddamn cyborg. The 80s, where it doesn't matter if it's our boys or the Russians who are gonna light up a cigarette after a situation like this.
Yep. I would.
It's quiet in the base. He is now free to finish up
80s
his script
computer.
for War Games. He creates a blind spot so that the extras from Red Dawn can safely take over Middle America. Oh, they're way off. This is Alaska. I'm sensing foreign invaders here. Damn those Canadians! That's all the equipment they need to chase
Damn
George
them
Lazenby
indeed.
and Diana Rigg down a mountain. Now they can seize control of this Alaskan pipeline. Good lord, even the Thing is intimidated by these Russians. Who's gonna help us now?
We're reading 18 knots from the southwest, Fairbanks. Looks like a bad one on the way.
You know, if you got off your lazy ass, Santa Claus, you could have prevented World War III.
Okay, honey, you finish making those Cabbage Patch dolls for the good children. I'll take care of the naughty ones.
Random.
That's the sound of Santa eating bullets when Lee Majors isn't around to protect him. It's up to you, Mrs. Claus.
Oh.
Well, you just made one kid from the nice list very unhappy. This is enough to wake the president. The sleigh bells ringling, jing, jing, jingling is code for World War III. Well, we're screwed. The president's drunk again. Rock Hudson plays President Thomas McKenna, though if you
Man
ask me,
himself.
they should have just simply kept his name as President Rock Hudson. That's a
Yeah.
badass president name. McKenna was previously a vice president who took over for a president who died in office, so let's pour one out for former President Doris Day. Let's just learned Santa has been assassinated. Get Tim Allen on speed dial immediately. We need a replacement. After that, he needs his men to immediately send out an angry tweet storm accusing the Easter Bunny of
Too
murder
soon.
for no reason. That is, after granting an interview for Exposition magazine.
It's a generally accepted fact that our oil supply from the Persian Gulf is oozing
Is that Mona?
inexorably to a halt.
Boo! Ask him about Tiger King. Let's just say this
Who's the
interview
boss?
goes places.
I know that you and I disagree on almost everything, but I like widowers, Mr. President. They are both sad and sexy.
This is starting out like more of a porno than the actual Donald Trump porno.
Ugh, the horror.
Too soon.
The horror.
Especially if you kept on your white gloves.
Okay, well, World War III may be starting, but at least the president got so laid. Who are these
Very
devious
Clinton.
Russians? Wait, your own Krabe? Villain? I think I might know who the spy on our side is. Put a warrant on Brad Whitaker. I can't believe the villains from the Living Daylights have infiltrated gameplay from GoldenEye. But it must
James
have.
Bond.
Yeah, there you go.
The
GoldenEye.
Empire
Yep.
needs to start out the day with a balanced breakfast.
We're going to take the boy to school by way of Gorky Street.
Why?
There were some problems on Petro Street 40 minutes ago.
Hey, might as well take over America. They already speak perfect English. This is Soviet premiere.
Kid for convenience.
What kind of weird sitcom am I watching here?
Remember,
I will, Papa.
you will what?
Remember that I'm not so clever that I forget to think.
Yeesh, the Russian version of Family Affair.
Weird line.
This whole attack appears to be in response to an American grain embargo against the Soviet Union. What's it matter? Most of these Russians are American anyway.
Boss? Do you know about the bombs in Petro Street this morning?
Do you mind? Robert Prosky is trying to figure out the best use of Mrs. Doubtfire for her new TV series. But in Fort Wainwright, Alaska, David Soul is setting out to write a new book on a haunted Alaskan pipeline that's taken over by Commandant Richard Straker. Oh wait, that might be wrong. Soul is Colonel Jake Caffey, sent to locate the soldiers killed by Voroshin or Georgy Koshkov. Plus, Tim Allen has failed in getting the proper Care Bears for Jake's children and must be replaced by David Huddleston.
Big Lebowski.
Life isn't great for Caffey.
I said it was all set. Christmas here with me, and then I'll look at the school. Did your mother have anything to do with...
World War III was started by Cheeks, bro. This is a man who needs a double hard whiskey neat with a whiskey back.
Hey, meet the General. We're old friends, Jake. I think I'd call you General if I saw you naked in a cat house in Juneau.
Why does everyone in this movie want to bang each other? If America wants to win this, we're gonna need Wonder Woman. But we're working on a budget here, so we'll get Kathy Lee Crosby's 1974 Wonder Woman. Crosby
Original
plays
Wonder
Major
Woman.
Breckenridge, whose specialty is sexual chemistry.
They've given me a real cozy apartment. We could be there in 15 minutes.
Okay, really, are they all gonna start screwing?
Cold War brought out the best sexual chemistry.
My Jeep's already warmed up.
See? My God, this is the horniest Cold War movie I've ever seen. Unfortunately, Jake breaks the mood by thinking he's being original by screaming, "That's incredible!" when he climaxes. Just kidding. There's another cock blocker nearby.
Jake?
He promised me I would be the one to make passionate mustache love to him in the sky. The less horny part of
Good
the
mustache era.
one survivor doomed to wander with apocalyptic 80s synth music. '80s Cold War movies. Give us 5 minutes and we'll bum you out. It's so cold, his Christmas tree has already suffered significant shrinkage. Now, will someone get in here? We need some secret document reading.
Reply necessary in response to correspondence from a Wilmington Mortgage and Loan Company dated 7/23/85 and 8/29.
Good thing this isn't hard to follow. It doesn't matter where they are, something sexual happens. Why is the private presenting in the background? This is definitely the type of movie where people are jumping at the chance to scream, "Talk to me, people!"
In the field up there on the training maneuver. They've been doing time march and reconnaissance sweeps.
Oh, never mind that. That's just the studio reminding them to take 5 seconds to advertise Wendy's. They need to clean up this whole Alaskan pipeline takeover thing, and we all know whose fault that is.
Probably just some screw-up between commands. Damn Eskimos. Why damn Eskimos?
Ooh, I hope the movie ends with igloo tanks. Jake is sent to Alaska, where he immediately kisses the snow and thanks God they landed safely. One thing I'm noticing here is there's more coffee drinking in this movie than in a Coleman Francis film, and almost as much skydiving. They are.
I drink that much in
hands
half a
These
day.
guys out there are mine. I train them. I'll find them.
Sorry, but you can't emote as well as David Soul. Best let him lead the mission. On their way to finding the missing men, they found 5 Yetis, 3 lost soccer teams, and somehow Noah's Ark, before finding one of their boys who's about to freeze to death for not wearing the proper underoos. He's also been shot by Soviet bullets. They can tell because the bullets smell like delicious pelmeni. I'm sensing a commercial break needs to happen with that sweet synth score. That way the audience can take a break to determine whether or not they're paranoid enough to swallow some cyanide capsules.
Actual commercial break.
The soldier's body being dragged because they felt it best not to ride the corpse down the mountain like a sled. They're dying all over the place out here, and those who aren't dying are succumbing to severe snow mustache and will soon break off like Professor Fate. It is dire here. The
That's some
Soviets
cold
have
weather.
an unfair advantage in getting a head start on their igloo tank. This is where writer Robert Joseph wants you to know that he also wrote the 1966 film Ski Fever.
I guess this situation isn't very serious for General Passive Aggressive.
I sent you out to cover a simple situation, and you give me aggressive acts, hostile force.
He says with his comfort of not having snow mustache. Again, this is all no big deal.
Has anyone attacked you?
No, General, I have not been attacked.
Have you been threatened?
How about you suck my dick? But hey, everyone else is risking their life in that snowstorm. Why not us?
Major Debris, order me a helicopter. We're going up there.
Perfect. We have a better chance at surviving a flyover at the Chernobyl reactor. But after a nice 5-minute helicopter ride, they make it there safe and sound.
All right, show us where this hostile force is. Certainly, sir. Already seen you.
Warm up your whole squad with that bird. They're not sure if this is Soviet troops or ghosts. One thing is for sure, though, Major Breckenridge still looks fantastic. I'm sure there's a logical explanation. Maybe the Russians are lost.
Don't they know they're in the United States? Don't they realize if they don't clear out, there's going to be one hell of a mess?
The general is desperate.
Don't think they care.
Shenanigans comedy like the Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. He'll be second guessing to the grave.
They gotta pick me up.
Well,
Oh, I guess I'm dead now. Are you sure? Are you sure I'm dead?
His body is immediately tied to the other dead body to drag it from the snowmobile. I love this soundtrack. Special kudos to Siren and composer Gil Malay.
Siren?
Drama to Strain and
Cool
Night
name.
Gallery for giving us a score that says not only is the world-ending canon film style, but so is our badass hanging from helicopter escape plan. Now wake the president. We may be at the end of the
Because
world,
ashtrays.
but it is the 80s, so we need
Was
more
the 80s.
ashtrays in here than we need classified documents. Weirdly enough, the Russians are eating breakfast at the exact same time.
Ah, breakfast is superb.
Yes, it's cookie crisp, nothing to write home about. I take it they're evil, given how doomsday happy they are.
Boom, boom.
You're from Pennsylvania! Good. President Ronus H.W. McRagan is awake, as our nation's Jewish mothers have proof it's the Russians.
The description of their goods, hardware, firepower.
And they were making out during Schindler's List. President McKenna orders a media blackout. Easy enough, just call all the reports of this fake news. Plus, he orders Jake to take out those Soviet troops by all means necessary, action movie style. Hang off all the helicopters you can. But most importantly, remain cool, people.
This meeting did not take place. And please, no apocalyptic looks or tones.
Do your best to only talk about the night's new episode.
Impossible.
Yeah.
In this episode, Vera's work suffers because she gets addicted to soap operas. However, in Alaska, they can have all the apocalyptic tones they want. The president phones in so they can have a real talk about whether it's okay to do this movie review now, even though it isn't Christmas. I say give the snob the go-ahead. The miniseries aired a month after Christmas anyway. Also,
And we're putting this up in January.
I believe you, Colonel. But I don't believe in starting a war.
Sir, inside voice.
Give me some action hero advice, sir.
Your record indicates that you are some kind of frustrated genius. So go be a genius.
You're a loose cannon, Caffey. You always work alone, which means you're the best. You're the top man for the job. When the going gets tough, the tough gets highly caffeinated.
Too bad they don't exactly have enough ammunition to stop these Soviets.
We have 15 M16s, 300 rounds of 5.56 ammo.
One drug issue containing antibiotics, one miniature combination Russian phrase book and Bible.
They have the perfect plan to form a choke point with helicopters, I think.
Sir, when I was a kid, I hunted all in this area.
Yeah. Just thought you wanted to get to know me a little better, sir. Sorry, jeez. As it turns out, all of this pipeline sabotage was done by the KGB without the knowledge of Secretary Gorney, largely because they were too nervous to ask why he has a picture of Bobby Brady on his desk.
That's
also,
his son.
pipeline takeover was the best way to counter an embargo.
You're insane. You're insane to flirt with global war over this.
Why not? Everyone else in this movie's flirting. Anyway, it's gonna be fine. It's fine, fine, just fine, fine.
America will never go to war over this, comrade. I assure you. Assure you.
Bobby Brady isn't real, comrade.
Luckily, our boys have stumbled upon a base that is 100% going to have some kind of monster inside of it. This is a pumping station, perfect to ambush the enemy. I feel like I've been assigned to play a game of Risk, but I'm cheating and just watching the movie. Let's hope this guy isn't the one to explain this to the press with his PG-style oversimplifying.
Colonel, I think the military establishment has just gone bonkers all the way.
World War III was started by some bad joshing. A good old-fashioned Soviet hornswoggling. Unfortunately, Jake has to think of a whole new speech, since this is around Christmas Day and not Independence Day.
In order to secure Castle Life, Leonardo da Vinci, I'm sure some of you heard of him.
That's a look that says, why is he bringing the Ninja Turtles into this? Anyway, you see Russians, just shoot them. That's the plan.
Yes, Corporal. That's pretty hairy, isn't it, sir?
Right? It's the pits! Foobar, sir! We're in a pinch and knee-deep in spumoni. If you think it's bad that the boys are freezing to death in a giant cigarette, the president has it worse with all this arguing.
Now comes the bitching about the Jewish intellectuals who permeate the White House.
Now hold it right there, Jules, before you call me an anti-Semite.
Just saying, it says a lot that you
Oh,
don't
boy.
invite either Helen or Morty Seinfeld into this meeting. Oh boy, I am getting a patriotic hard-on right now.
Slap some more burgers on the grill, guys. Here they come.
Take back our side dish, cause my man ain't no small fry. We got a few minutes left here as it all leads to a cliffhanger that is indeed signaling that the ambush will happen at the beginning of part 2 and not at the end of part 1.
Easy.
Whoa.
Fire the grill back
Good
up,
stinger.
boys. We're gonna scorch the villains from Hot Dog the movie.
Actual film.
Huh?
Oh my god, is an America versus Russia shootout gonna happen? Or is this all gonna lead to a 90-minute stare down and arm wrestling match? Viewers only had to wait one night to find out, as part 2 of World War III premiered on February 1st of '82. But if the first part bummed you out too much, you could always just watch the CBS MASH rerun. This time, an AWOL soldier makes a special egg breakfast rather complicated. And maybe the second part of World War III won't be as bleak as the first part. It's not too late to end it with a pie fight. Check that. Where's my cyanide? I sent it's another Cold War downer. After the credits.
So intense.
We've already seen that part. It's nice that they included the credits in part 2, but still couldn't take time out to actually learn the president's name. It's President Bonzo Gipper. We're still in Alaska, and it's still the future. A future where by the end of this series, I have the feeling that the whole world is gonna look a lot like a nuclear winter. Maybe not, though. Maybe they'll just talk things out and go home.
That was stupid.
Never mind that, we are in the midst of Home Alone-style Cold War shenanigans. The Russians are confused. They're wondering how these giant cigarettes are shooting at us. The noises they're making make them sound mildly annoyed by this. Oh, that's a Charlie horse. Ow. Side is getting annoyed too.
Bloody.
Yeah, that's a bloody nose. Gonna need a Kleenex, sir. This whole thing is just coming across like a giant game of paintball. What the hell? Did they just shoot me? Those dicks! Our boys, however, know that this is the 80s, and we need to protect the wood paneling and shag carpeting at all costs. Perhaps they should have started with Plan B, which was just to lock the doors and let the Russians freeze to death. Many of these men look like they're having second thoughts about Plan A.
Left, take his place.
Oh yeah, I'll take his place if it involves you kissing my ass, Sergeant. But remember, Major Breckenridge still looks fantastic. While all the others are succumbing to their injuries of having a
Surprised he lived long
That's your
enough.
problem.
falling one whole foot into a pile of snow, this futon mattress will only hold these bullets off for so long, but thankfully the Russians announce a ceasefire for mysterious reasons.
Jeffrey? What do you think?
Are we boned? Yep, we're boned. Inside, this guy is stressed out while deciding to call this tomfoolery or a whole lot of clowning around.
Answer me.
So he's deciding to stick with bunkers. Everything is figured out. This building is actually a pumping station where the Russians want to put bombs in the pipes to blow up our pipeline and to also send Voroshin back to safety. Speaking of,
Living daylights.
Plan B was to break the windows so that the Americans will freeze to death. We got an old-fashioned freeze-off, which calls for a speech.
You have to call your ideological friends in Moscow and ask them how we can penetrate it without blowing it up.
If you will excuse me, Comrade Colonel.
Richard, I am in the middle of this Alaskan pipeline takeover. Back in Washington, they're reminding us that it really was weird in the first part to see Mrs. Seinfeld lighting a cigarette. How can we stop this pipeline takeover? A nuclear bomb called a hacksaw, of course.
The crew can start rearming that missile with a new tactical nuclear warhead.
It's a missile, not a penis. Calm yourself! Downside, though, this will involve future 24 plot points.
Will you take out Kathy, too?
I assume Kathy, if whoever's left with him, are expendable under the circumstances.
It's from our files.
Yeah, fuck
Sorry,
'em.
Jack Bauer is expendable. But being expendable isn't ruining his breakfast. He's gone 15 whole minutes without a cup of coffee. And getting laid. Yet the Major get all hot while talking about
Not the time.
Italian dinners.
Ossobuco. And zucchini sauteed in breadcrumbs.
You can help yourself to my unlimited breadstick. Olive Garden. When you're here, you're a fuck buddy. The Russians have their own way of killing time, mainly figuring out how they can jump all of these dead bodies with a skateboard. At the White House, they're deciding on whether or not to meet with Gordy, who never calls anymore.
He ducks my calls for hours and then airily asks for a meeting, as if we had a long-standing luncheon date.
Mr. President.
Often goes with the Russian leaders.
His rebound can't hold a candle to your good looks, sir. However, they do fly out to Iceland, and that way they can hang out in a high school assembly hall that
like a
looks
bingo
like
hall.
it's in Kansas City. This is weirdly reminiscent of the Reykjavik summit, which would happen 4 years after this miniseries between Reagan and Gorbachev. They didn't have to fly here to know the Russians are coming. Again, Brian Keith was literally in the movie The Russians Are Coming. Now let's get to some hard talking. He knows how to flirt.
Well, he is Rock Hudson.
Ooh, the lights are out. They are banging for peace. Now let's drink some more coffee and smoke a carton of cigarettes before we get to our chess match of words.
My country will not submit to blackmail.
My country will not submit to being deprived of the fruits of the earth.
Gentlemen, please, you both have incredibly impressive penises. So Gordy wants the embargo lifted so they can no longer be deprived of a food supply, and McKenna wants them to stop blowing up shit.
You will not go to war over this.
And then the president ascended back up into heaven, at least temporarily. They can't reach an agreement, unfortunately. No, not the whole embargo thing. But on dinner, the president wants Papa John's, while Gorney is a Pizza Hut man. Talks, however, will continue when they decide on Little Caesars. It is way cheaper. While these talks went nowhere, the Russians are still injured. Shining a giant light in their faces isn't helping, and I think some of them may be coming back as zombies. As for the American side...
Sergeant? Yeah? Okay?
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that scene was included in this 3-hour movie. I hope the rest of it is just them arguing about music.
Don't they have any good music around here?
Okay, if you insist. This is supposed to be 1987, so here you go.
George Michael.
Excuse for another Cold War bedroom romp. But there's one soldier who's determined to get the action going on the field.
Pretty bloody for the 80s TV.
Whoa, we must take this commercial break to again ask the question, are we boned?
Yep, right in the bullet hole.
The answer is still yes. Yes, we are boned. But they still have fun. There's the classic McKenna prank of firing blanks in a room of his sleeping cabinet members. Also, is this supposed to be Air Force One? And if it is, why are they flying coach? And why are they checking the status of their smuggled Icelandic diamonds? Oh, my mistake. It's just the script updates. Yep, I sense something nuclear and something DEFCON 3. Or they're just getting this case back to Senator Marcellus Wallace.
Sit down, Jones.
Okay, Vincent. God, that was the most depressing Delta ad I've ever seen. Wait, check that. Now he has to call the Americans in Alaska and tell them they have to bomb the place and they're all gonna die.
You and the people with you are the difference between a skirmish and World War III.
Skirmish! That's the other word I was looking for. Well, World War III is a better title than The Skirmish. This has now become Operation Buy Me Some More Time! I have the feeling this is gonna be one of those movies where everyone dies at the end.
Wonder what my daughter's getting for Christmas.
Nothing. Don't you remember? Santa is dead. Things are even more tense in the Russian war room, where there's plenty of fighting.
Turn those damn things off. Do you hear me? Turn them off! Turn them off!
You're quoting the wrong George C. Scott movie. The Russians are sending in all kinds of bombers who are preparing for war, as we're doing the same, but there is a person here on standby who can explain things better.
We've monitored a 68% increase in coded and scrabbled communications in just 6 hours.
That generally indicates a gigantic airlift is in progress.
Yes, thank you. They still want to end things diplomatically, but try telling that to those in Alaska.
They are disciplined and good marksmen. They use their ammunition with almost painful economy.
See, they're loaded with an endless supply of ADR work. The red phone to call in at DEFCON 2 says that this is serious. I just didn't expect it to be the same red phone my grandma has in her kitchen. It's also very serious. Look at the president's serious gaze.
Intimidating.
Damn, it cut right before his line, "Let's do it to it, America." And have I been pronouncing Voroshin's name wrong this whole time?
Colonel Voroshin? Colonel Voroshin? Colonel Voroshin!
I'm sorry, is it pronounced Colonel the Russian? All of them want to avoid a nuclear war because it does sound extremely messy. And I totally believe him. You can always trust a character played by your own Krabe. Although in this case, he does seem to be the one unsure about World War III, while it's the others on his side that are all for it.
Let's see if we can make an omelette without breaking any eggs.
Not possible.
I've got a whole book of other slang phrases. Their plans are stupid. I don't know how dropping Bobby Brady's on the troop is gonna do anything. Or dropping one crazy person with a knife.
Where did that come from?
I guess that did tickle.
Who knows?
They are preparing for another ambush. And to add insult to injury, they're gonna shoot at them with green bullets. Now we are comfortably back to where the second part of this mini-series began. Quick, sound the siren.
There they are.
And by that, I mean the awesome soundtrack. Really, you just gotta throw some ferrets in these pipes and that'll take care of them. Or stick these large French fries up to the doors, boys. We probably should have stayed in here to begin with. Seriously, it's rough out there. They didn't much care for their use of green bullets. No surprise the giant French fries didn't hold, so now it's assault on Pipeline 13. No one is getting out alive. He
Fuck
died
'em.
as he lived, totally bananas. This is a mini-series not afraid to get bloody. It's 3 hours of people just getting riddled with
I don't think there were that many
bullets,
people to
no
begin
matter
with.
how fantastic they look. Now he has to resort
Oh,
to banging
she's
an
gone.
Italian dinner. The Russians have finally made it inside so they can switch the samples. Voroshin wants to talk things out while unarmed. Great. The last 15 minutes is now going to be them arguing about which pizza to order. Just get frozen. The pizza will mostly be ice anyway. This is going to end with them out badassing each other.
My orders are to stop you.
I appeal to you to surrender.
Let me tell you something, Russian.
I feel that's how most 80s arguments started. Thankfully, this is the future of 1987, so the day after is already aired in 1983. So they know how disturbing this tension can get.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be happening. Two soldiers talking to each other. That would be the end of war.
I really hope World War III ends because it's Christmas Day and they make a wish to the Christmas star. Oh, this'll end fine. Oh, fine. Just fine.
Huh?
Oh, I'm not sure the music wants a peaceful resolution.
Oh, siren.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or the editing. Is that guy and the editor both KGB spies?
Oh. And they're fucked.
Well.
At least they're all warm now, I guess. I'm sweating bullets
Nice while it
over
lasted.
here, and my knees are hurting from all the ducking and covering I'm doing under my school desk. And maybe that grenade did put an end to this whole thing in its own way.
What the fuck?
Yep, he's thinking, oh, my brother Greg really stepped in at this time. Not gonna end well. I hope 1987 never gets here. It's too stressful. Evil Robert Prosky lies and says that Gorney is sick in bed with the flu. The KGB really wants this war. If Gorney was sick, they wouldn't even give him soup. Seems fine at first. Comrade Gingrich just wants a joint declaration to end the embargo and to put the complete series of Macmillan and Wife on Blu-ray.
Something has changed. Your troops are in our block and we want them out.
Your DEFCON 2 is tantamount to an announcement of war.
They are screaming at each other right into a full shitting cut. Oh, I'm so nervous. So the agreement says that their men can be removed peacefully and bombers will turn around. I'm sure that's the end of that. But gather round, people. The twist is that this wasn't Bobby Brady at all. That was Mino Pellucci from Don't Go Near the Park in the Amityville Horror. And he wished for Russian Santa to put the whole world on the naughty list.
So, comrades, the first strike initiative is ours.
What do you think was going to happen?
Small, evil Robert Prosky.
God forgive me.
God bless us, everyone. A 1980s Cold War thriller, editing like this is always a good sign. I'm not sure we're gonna see.
Is this still part of the movie?
When I said everyone dies at the end of this, I literally mean everyone. This is like the ending of War Room, if there were actual stakes, and it was terrifying. As it's edited to make it look like they're all staring up at missiles, this is like one big 3-hour negative campaign ad. It doesn't need to show the world blowing up. You get the point. Well, and then the Earth exploded and we've all been living in a simulation. According to Ron Hudson, the ending wasn't always this bleak. Prior to Boris Segal's death, it was discussed that the series could possibly lead to a sequel miniseries or even a weekly television series, which could explain why it didn't actually show the bombs going off. But the miniseries wasn't a huge success, so hey, the world is over. Bye. World War I is as well known or as highly discussed as other nuclear war thrillers of the time, such as The Day After, Threads, Special Bulletin, or Countdown to Looking Glass. This one's more in the camp of the relatively obscure, forgotten event miniseries, such as 1987's 14-Hour America, the Heaven's Gate of Cold War miniseries, which would be my own personal Everest to tackle.
Chris Christopherson.
Snob. Admittedly, World War III isn't as good or as impactful as those other movies, but it maintains its bleakness throughout, helped largely by the soundtrack, the actors, and the weird bits of sexual tension. It's an entertaining time capsule, especially if you love this subgenre of TV movie, and it's a good throwback to when these paranoid thrillers had a sense of style, ambition, and gravitas, as opposed to today's equivalents that are like artless 90-minute Viagra ads. Well, I, for one, am pleased that we survived World War III, although this is 2020, so no one's really afraid of World War III. We've got other things to worry about, such as angry Asian murder hornets. I'm being serious. That's an actual movie. The murder hornets really did ask the corona zombies to hold...
Another real movie.
Skiing. That's the reason why I joined the National Guard. Skiing.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So, as you mentioned earlier, being a child of the 80s / Cold War, how do you think this miniseries looks?
I mean, it was bleak, yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with Brad just in terms of it was definitely had a low budget feel to it. You know, it felt like there was about 24 people involved and that was about it. But the stakes definitely were high and you could feel that tension at least in the miniseries. And I think if you watched it during the 80s, it'd feel more realistic and it'd feel as if it was actually happening or could happen. So I think we have to take that context into effect, you know?
Yeah, and maybe it'd be easier to follow if I watched it straightforward.
Right.
The plot could be a little hard to keep up with, even though Brad did do the best he could.
I think part of that is just the mini-series format where it just goes on and goes on and goes on. Nowadays this would be a Netflix series, right?
Yeah, probably. The parts that stuck out the most to me, like the jokes he made, like I remember when he put this review out, I put a tweet out to promote it, where I said, we got sexual chemistry, wood paneling, and Rock fucking Hudson as the president.
I did not see that coming with Rock Hudson, but...
Yeah, this was 3 years before he died of AIDS, and I think he was already starting to get sick from it. But yeah, like people like to make jokes about him because he did all the rom-coms with Doris Day, but he actually was a pretty decent actor.
Yeah, I didn't realize his career spanned this long, so yeah.
He didn't die till 85, and he really played it straight, really gave the seriousness of the situation as the president.
Now the Russians speaking English, I mean that was a little hard, but I get what they were trying to do, I guess.
Yeah, and also it's well believed that people don't have patience for subtitles.
Sure.
But some of them could have maybe put a little more oomph in their Russian soundingness.
I think probably my favorite part of the whole review is just his turns of phrases, you know, and his references. But of course that's what Brad's best known for, so...
Comrade Gingrich.
Yes. Just all the little things that he throws in there.
Also, the part where he talked about America with the K in it. Brad has said that he really wants to do that miniseries.
Okay.
All 14 hours of it. But he said it's such a rare thing to find. I don't know if it's ever even been out on DVD. That finding a copy that looks like, you know, that's easy to, you can tell what's going on is very hard.
Yeah, because the networks probably don't even have it anymore.
That one you mentioned, Threads, that's a British, I believe, miniseries movie about a possible nuclear war.
Yep.
I've seen many videos about it. They call it one of them probably the most disturbing movie ever made. As he mentioned, the director who died because of the film's own Twilight Zone
incident. A helicopter accident.
Boris Sagal. Fun fact about him, his daughter is Katie Sagal.
Oh, really?
From Married with Children.
Yeah.
Much.
Also another 80s classic.
Yeah, much better career life than him, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot here that stuck out. The jokes were very funny. Mustache.
Mustaches everywhere. Yeah.
Cigarettes everywhere.
Yeah.
Lots of fucking coffee.
Yeah, especially at the summit. I mean, they were pretty humorous, but.
Yeah, this is a fun one. Very different than what the Cinema Snob usually covers, and it was made during probably one of the worst years in recent memories.
Yeah, and definitely. The ending with just leaving it open-ended, that the world had ended right there. I mean, that kind of taken you aback.
Definitely could have had a possible follow-up, but you can take it as it is. Seems like you enjoyed a lot of this.
Yeah, it was definitely a good review. Yeah.
Cool. I enjoyed it, and hope you enjoyed our reaction, and here's hoping we have a not quite as bleak ending to this year, and we will
or maybe as much tension, sexual tension, while the world is ending. So
yeah, we will see you again soon.
All right.